in high definition. This is KOIN Local 6 News at 5.
24-inch main carries a really good amount of water, and so when it broke, we had water that was overwhelming the storm drains.
A massive water main breaks right in the middle of downtown Portland. It flooded the road and caused major issues for drivers and businesses. The repairs continue tonight, but it's been 14 hours since that happened. Welcome, everyone, to KOIN 6 News at 5. I'm Kelly Day.
And I'm Jeff Gianola, and it was a Portland police officer, the first to notice that water bubbling up underneath Southwest 4th and Burnside. That was at 12:45 this morning. Alyssa Harrington live on the scene where work to fix the pipe is continuing into the evening rush hour. Alyssa?
Jeff, behind me, you're looking at the new pipe that will replace the broken one, 24 inches in diameter, and this one's made out of ductile iron. The one that broke this morning made out of cast iron, and water officials say cold weather might be to blame.
It looked like a lake. Seriously, I mean, there's some cars parked on the street that the water was to the top of their tires.
Steve Santoro, owner of Dante's on West Burnside, shows us pictures of the street early this morning. Water gushing from a broken water main underground, flooding several businesses, including his.
And there's an extensive cleanup. We have the restoration crew downstairs right now trying to dry everything out and rip up the carpet.
The break happened around 12:45 a.m.
Pipe 24-inch in diameter that's leaking.
Tim Hall with the Portland Water Bureau says the city's water system is more than a century old. The aging pipes lead to around 200 breaks every year.
The pipe that was damaged is a 100-year-old pipe, and sometimes with old cast iron pipes, there's the possibility when the weather is cold for them to crack.
And it's only going to get colder. Just last week, a water main break closed Southwest 1st Avenue near Jefferson. Hall says that pipe was 80 years old and 8 inches in diameter. The city says they are updating pipes to prevent this from happening again.
Well, we actually have a program in place where annually we replace about 5 miles of pipe in the city. Now, keep in mind there's more than 2,500 miles of pipe underground.
So it will take years to complete. And as you can see, this is a big job. So they say that West Burnside is going to stay closed between 2nd and 5th through tomorrow. Reporting live downtown, Alyssa Harrington, KOIN 6 News.
And Carly joins us now with a look at the roads closed in that area. Carly?
Remember, it just affects the eastbound side of Burnside. So westbound traffic is doing just fine, making its way past all that work to repair that water main break. Well, I've got plan Bs for you here. Now, I would avoid the Burnside Bridge. If you're headed eastbound, obviously you can't take that portion of Burnside between 2nd and 5th, and you want to take one of these. Alder to the Morrison Bridge, or use Everett to get to the Steel Bridge and cross over the river that way. You could also use the Hawthorne Bridge or the Broadway Bridge. Any of those will work just fine. But those are the two main plan Bs, this one just to the south and this one just to the north. And just remember to give yourself extra time if headed in that area, especially eastbound. Kelly?
Thank you, Carly. And that water main that broke again was 100 years old. The city installed it back in 1913.
1909.
So it is over 100.
That's the installation date.
In a KOIN 6 News exclusive investigation that we aired just back in May, we found that it is not just Portland's water mains that are old and crumbling. Sewer pipes installed more than a century ago are also failing on a regular basis.
It's only getting worse. We're only having more and more sewers reach that 100-year age and begin to fail.
And we found out the city plans to spend between $20 and $25 million a year for the next several years to repair the pipes that break. That has contributed to a 247% increase in sewer rates in the past 13 years.
And stay with us for more on the water main breaks and the ongoing work to fix it. We'll let you know when it's done and when the roads in the area are reopened.
Now to the new information we have tonight on what may have caused that small plane to crash right into a home in McMinnville, killing the pilot. Investigators with the NTSB just gave us a briefing from the scene. Cor Harlan is live there in McMinnville. What they have to say, Cor?
Well, quite a bit, Kelly, as workers now begin to remove that plane from the house here in McMinnville. The NTSB investigator says that the pilot in this plane was troubleshooting a landing gear issue as he was flying around McMinnville's municipal airport yesterday. There is no sign of catastrophic engine failure to report tonight, and that the plane was making some very erratic movements in the moments before it plunged to the ground.
That plane was heading straight down to us. We didn't have time to think enough where to go, and then it just veered off and hit the house behind us.
Lawrence Snyder was 3 houses away from where the plane crashed. He and a co-worker saw the plane hit, ran down the street, and got into the house through a crinkled-up garage door, and saw the plane's tail section sitting right in the middle of the garage.
The other section was in the house, and we were just hoping we could say everything's okay, help's coming. And it was too late for that.
And I heard this splut, pop, crack.
Noel Branscombe and his wife are also out for a midday walk. They also heard what sounded, they say, like engine trouble before the plane started to fall.
And he was going like this, and he hit it 2 or 3 times trying to get it started, and all of a sudden he just started doing a spin.
The National Transportation Safety Board says the pilot had been flying around the McMinnville Municipal Airport for a good portion of the day and had refueled about an hour before the crash. They'll begin removing wreckage from the home to another location as early as this evening. And back here to a live picture in McMinnville, that contraption you're looking at, there's something they're going to move into place near this house and hopefully lift the fuselage of what's left of the plane out of the house there. They'll move it into a nearby warehouse. The young woman that was inside this home when the plane crashed through the rooftop there was just several feet away from being hit, and miraculously tonight, again, Jeff and Kelly, she was unharmed. Returned to the house today, didn't want to speak to us, but miraculously was not hurt. Live here in McMinnville, Cor Harlan, KOIN 6 News.
Cor, thank you. We continue to follow the case against an 11-year-old Clark County boy accused of bringing a gun and several knives to school. That boy was back in court today to find out if he'll be allowed to go home. However, a judge decided to keep him in custody for now, and that's when the boy broke down and refused to leave the courtroom. Deputies were forced to drag him out. The boy's accused of attempted murder and several other crimes. In court today, we learned he may have been planning to shoot several students. We'll have a live report from the courthouse coming up at 5:30 with new details in this case.
Next at 5 now, tracking your miles and taxing you for it. Oregon launches a new pilot program that could one day replace our gas tax. But we'll show you why some want to stop it because of privacy issues.
And lighting the way for Portland's cycling community. See what leaders are doing to keep them safe and how it might become a model for other U.S. cities.
Boy, coming up in the forecast, some big changes ahead. I'm talking about more cold first, but then we're switching over to rain. The timing of that transition and mountain snow in the forecast as well. See you in a few minutes.
Tonight at 5:30, the Trailblazers take a page out of the Olympic playbook with a relay across the state of Oregon. How the ball for the first game is on a 5-day journey to the Moda Center and how you can join in along the way. Tonight at 5:30.
The state of Oregon has a controversial plan to monitor the miles you drive in your car. Then they will tax you accordingly.
Now, this is only an idea at this point. They're testing it, but eventually it could replace the state gas tax. Chris Holmstrom shows us how it would work in a story new at 5.
In the last decade, fewer people have been hitting the road. Couple that with more fuel-efficient cars, and you got a problem.
We're not tracking, we're counting.
Dave Thompson with ODOT is referring to Oregon's road usage charge program. He says it's a way to increase revenue for highway and street repairs. The pilot program will charge drivers based on the miles you drive instead of the flat rate you pay at the pump.
I think that'd be great. If you drive less, save more money, that'd be wonderful.
Here's how it works. Starting in the summer of 2015, 5,000 drivers will have their vehicles monitored, all on a volunteer basis. Instead of paying a gas tax of 30 cents a gallon, the drivers would pay 1.5 cents a mile.
It may very well be a rebate. It may be that there's some particular kinds of gas stations that won't charge you the gas tax.
Drivers have a choice when it comes to complying with the tax.
Becky Strauss with ACLU says the organization made sure that leaders complied with privacy laws. The organization made sure drivers had a choice to either use a device that monitors strictly the mileage or a GPS to help track when drivers are out of state.
We got to a place where the parties will really be on a need-to-know basis, and drivers' private location data will not be shared or kept longer than it's needed.
The whole purpose of the GPS in the car, if you choose to use it at all, is so you don't pay for miles that you don't drive in Oregon.
Insurance companies like Progressive are already using mileage programs like this one. They use a little device to help monitor the miles. As for the state, they have not decided which route they will take. Reporting from downtown Portland, I'm Chris Holmstrom, KOIN 6 News.
Chris, thanks. And just in time for the freezing conditions, studded tire season begins on Friday. November 1st is the first day you can legally drive with studs on your car. The season runs through March. A 2012 bid to ban studded tires failed to make the ballot in Oregon. ODOT says they cause $40 million worth of damage to state roads every year. They say chains or traction tires are better and a less costly option.
And we have a crime alert now tonight out of Southwest Portland. That's where police say they are seeing a spike in commercial burglaries. Several restaurants have been hit, and the thieves have gotten away with thousands of dollars and some expensive items as well. Coming up tonight at 5:30, how the crooks are pulling this off, and also why your favorite place to eat could be targeted.
A fire inside a Southeast Portland apartment building forces residents who live there out into the cold early this morning. That building in the 2000 block of Southeast Madison was once a large home that had been converted into 5 separate apartments. A fire started somewhere either on the 3rd floor or the attic. Firefighters responded quickly, worked to put the fire out and to make sure everyone got out safely. No one was hurt. An exact cause of that fire is still under investigation.
Tonight, our KOIN 6 investigation is digging into the business of patrol towing here in Portland. It's a big money business, and now some say towers here are breaking the law to make more cash. Chris Woodard has been looking into this industry, and Chris, you found some pretty surprising numbers.
Yeah, nearly 4,000 cars towed, and that's just the first 7 months of this year. That's also just the beginning of the questions. Many of those tows are a product of patrol towing, a process that's legal and common here in Oregon, even though it's been banned in some form or fashion in both Washington and California. But there are still laws in Oregon to protect people from predatory towing practices. However, a man responsible for helping to create those laws argues here in Portland, they're being ignored.
It's very frustrating. You know, when you pass a law, it's on the books, you think it's going to be enforced, and you move on to other business.
Tonight at 6, we're going to take a look at some of the most towed properties in Portland, and some of the numbers we found may shock you. We're also taking the tough questions to the towers and the city and looking into whether they're breaking the law to try and make more money. We'll have that story for you tonight at 6.
Look forward to that, Chris. Thanks. Portland now the first city in the nation with solar-powered bike lane lights. The first ones were installed today on Northeast Cooch near the Burnside Bridge. These solar-charged LED lights will glow after dark to illuminate the winding Burnside Bridge bike lane.
to create more of a pathway at night, and we intend them to draw attention for both people driving and bicycling, and to create more comfort for people bicycling.
So these lights are still in the testing phase. The company that makes them donated them to Portland, and if they work here, they could go elsewhere in Portland and then spread to cities nationwide.
Now, the forecast with KOIN 6 Chief Meteorologist Bruce Sussman.
Okay, lots to talk about as we stare some changes right in the face. Let's talk about what to expect tonight first, and we're going to keep it calm and keep it clear. Temperatures dropping like a rock. 51 at 7, 45 at 9, and at 11 o'clock, 42 degrees. Now, tomorrow, we start out with a lot of sun and a few patches of fog and plenty of frost. If you had to scrape your windshield this morning, a good chance you'll have to do it again tomorrow as well. But the clouds start increasing by midday, and it's a cloudy drive home with a chance for some isolated showers tomorrow night. 55 for a high. Look at this. Right now, it is spectacular outside. This is a live look from our KOIN Tower camera. The sunset is just about to go down behind the silhouette of the West Hills. We are at 58 degrees right now. In the next few minutes, temperatures will start to drop. Look how cold it was this morning. Freezing in Portland, 30 in Salem, 28 Eugene, freezing in Astoria, and of course some teens east of the mountains. This was, for most of us, the coldest morning of the fall season so far, and tomorrow looks to be kind of a repeat of that. 59 for a high today in Portland, 60 in Salem, and some 40s east of the Cascades. Now, we had those clear skies today. Wasn't that gorgeous waking up to that? Then you stepped outside, and even with the sun hitting you, it was cold. Tomorrow, it's going to look a lot like this around sunrise with a few high clouds passing by. We've got another clear and cold night overnight for Washington and Oregon, but there you see the leading edge of some of those high clouds that we might see first thing in the morning. But this is more than high cloudiness. Eventually, back here, it's a pretty weak system, but there are more clouds coming in, and eventually some rain getting closer to us. So let's look at the forecast and time this out so you know how to plan over the next couple of days. So our rain and cloud forecast tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. There are some of those bands of high clouds cruising in, no big deal. By lunchtime, things are starting to turn to filtered sunshine, and then it's a cloudy evening commute for most of us. Rain develops in the evening hours for those of you along the coast, maybe a little earlier. And then as we go into Thursday morning, better chance for wet weather at times, and this is Halloween morning. But here's the exciting thing. We get rid of the weather, at least the rain part of it, by the time we get to Halloween night. So that's really exciting. The trick-or-treat forecast now, it's not near as frightening as the graveyard. No, it's going to be cool and dry and in the low 50s. I mean, that's pretty much a win, right, Mom and Dad? You know that's a good year when we can get a forecast like that for Halloween. All right, turning cloudy tomorrow along the coast. Areas of afternoon or evening rain developing north first. Up in the I-5 corridor here, a cold start, and then a cloudy and cool finish. Central and eastern Oregon, you'll notice some high clouds tomorrow. That's about the big change for you. Same thing through the gorge. Clouds increasing west to east, and Government Camp 45 tomorrow. That afternoon freeze level all the way up near 8,000 feet. Now, we start at freezing tomorrow in Portland. We end up at just 55 degrees. That's because we bring in the clouds, so we can't get as warm as today. Most of us in the mid-50s after morning lows in the 20s and 30s again. Over on the east side, freezing to start the day in Damascus and also Oregon City tomorrow. And up across Clark County, somewhere between 32 and 34 out the door in the morning. It'll be in the upper 20s for those of you in Scappoose. So here's our 7-day forecast on the way it goes. Tomorrow, it's a cold start, clear early and then cloudy late. Thursday, morning showers, and it's dry for trick-or-treat, though. That's all we care about on Thursday, right? And then Friday, mainly dry with a chance of evening rain. I'll keep an eye on that. We do look to turn wet and breezy Saturday morning. And I'll tell you, the way the systems are lined up for next week, they're lined up in such a way to give us a good shot of mountain snow. So this is exciting.
That would be our first big dose
to start building the base up there. And just a reminder, you want to fall back, set your clocks back this weekend. It is the weekend to do it.
Saturday night.
Saturday night before you go to bed. That's
well,
right.
if we can go from dry and blue sky to dumping snow on the mountain, then you did something right.
You know what? Yeah. Remember, tip the weatherman.
Okay.
Well,
thank you.
You're out of change again. I knew it.
Right. Still to come now for you at 5, a nightmare flight from California to Utah. See why passengers were forced to wait over 12 hours for a trip that usually only takes 90 minutes. 5:30 if you're just getting home. Here are your headlines now. Work to repair a broken 24-inch water main on the road around Southwest 4th and Burnside, they say will continue all night long. The city hopes to be done by the morning commute. That pipe broke about 12:45 this morning and it flooded surrounding streets and businesses.
A preliminary investigation shows the pilot who crashed into a McMinnville house and died Monday may have had problems with his landing gear, but no issues with the plane's engine. The NTSB says 56-year-old Charles Yokelson of Sheridan had refueled just 30 minutes before that deadly accident on Elm Street. Yokelson was the only person aboard the plane. No one on the ground miraculously was hurt.
And the 11-year-old boy who's accused of plotting to shoot a fellow Frontier Middle School student will remain in custody. He was back in court today. Administrators found the gun, the ammunition, and several knives in his backpack last week. He had quite the outburst in court today. He's now charged with attempted murder. And problems with the Affordable Care Act continue tonight, and now millions of Americans are learning that their current plans don't meet requirements, so they will have to shop for something else.
And lawmakers critical of the law were quick to react. For the first time today, they got the chance to grill members of the Obama administration responsible for rolling out the new health care website. They wanted to know why problems appeared right from the get-go.
The problems that we saw in the first week, we attributed to volume. Once the volume started to back down a little
How about before October 1st? Was there any sense at all that there were going to be problems with the website?
No.
Well, tomorrow, Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius is expected to testify. Many Republicans are calling for her resignation because of all the website glitches.
Passengers on an Allegiant Airlines plane called their recent trip from Oakland, California to Provo, Utah, a nightmare flight. They were supposed to leave at 9:30 in the morning, but mechanical problems with 3 different planes delayed their departure until just before 9 o'clock that night. That's almost 12 hours stuck in limbo. The airline says it tried to keep passengers happy by providing free food, the chance to rebook, and even $100 vouchers off a future flight. Most of them, though, said they would never fly that airline again.
Well, Virgin America flies a few flights a day from PDX to San Francisco, and if you take that flight occasionally, you'll soon see this.
I got some safety tips that you gotta know, and trust me, it's something that you wanna hear.
Oh, the airline has come up with a fun way to give passengers the safety information they need in the form of a hip-hop song and dance video. The airline posted the video on YouTube. It'll debut on flights in November. Now, it's planning to make more of them in the future, starring real passengers. And people can submit a video of themselves singing or dancing to Virgin's Instagram page. And winners will be told early next year.
Next at